He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagat Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Srimvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Ridyantastu Abhadrani Vidhunoti Suritsatam Nashtaprayasho Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtihi. सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्व वैदिक सत्फल सर्व सिद्धांत रत्नाध्या सर्व लौकिक दृक्पद सर्व भागवत प्राण श्रीमद् भागवतो प्रभु कलिद्वंतोतितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्व सेवाय श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुते मद एक बंधु मद संगीन मद गुरुन मन महाधन मन निष्ठारक मन भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते असाधु साधु तादाइन अति नीच ताकरा हाना मुंचा कदाचिन्मा प्रेम न रित कंथयो स्पुरः ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवताम की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Okay, Hare Krishna. So thank you again for joining. So in the starting, I was going to make this point that how the way we understand Srimad Bhagavatam is only through the life, the teachings, and the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Right? When we actually why in the starting of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada actually gave the entire life story of Srila Prabhupada. I mean, it's very interesting that Bhagavatam starts before the first verse commentary of Bhagavatam. Prabhupada gives short sketch of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? Because only by Mahaprabhu we can actually really understand Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we study the life of Mahaprabhu, and how Mahaprabhu lived, that is the highest understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then, when we actually follow the teachings of Mahaprabhu, then we can actually really dive into the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, how the bhajan is Yadi gaur na hoito kabe ki hotya, right? Teno keno ne, sorry, Yadi gaur na hoito kabe ke hoito kemo ne dharitam de radhar mahima prema rasasima jagate janito. That if Mahaprabhu would have not come, no one would have known the real glories of Srimati Radharani. And if you see Srimad Bhagavatam, it's actually preparing us, we're now in the fourth canto, we're going step by step. And as we are proceeding through the cantos, if we are really absorbed in Srimad Bhagavatam, we are getting purified. The anarthas in our heart are actually being challenged, are being brought out, are being purified. And as we progress through Srimad Bhagavatam, then we are getting closer and closer, like how Prabhupada says, by the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, by reading from first canto to 9th canto, one will become a God-realized person. I mean, that's amazing, right? Just from first canto to 9th canto, Prabhupada says, you become a God-realized person. And what does that mean? After the 9th canto, then we start 10th canto. And in the 10th canto, then we come to the Rasa Panchadaya. And in that, we come to the verse Annaya Radito Nunam, where glories of Srimati Radha. But all that can only be understood by the life, the teachings, and the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Right? That's how we. So taking shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and God Purnima we are celebrating today, and the actual Tithi being Tuesday. So we take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that by His mercy we can dive into the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so having said that, let's get started. So last time I actually ended with this beautiful point about very practical lesson from the teachings of Prithu Maharaj. Right. So I want to just go through that again. What do we learn from the previous chapter? And it's very powerful. So we'll just go through those points. I'll also share my screen so you can see this. And I mentioned this last time. This is from Gauranga Darshan Prabhu's article from this. So what did we see in the previous chapter? We saw how Prithu Maharaj, he wanted to do this performance of 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas. And then when he was doing the Yagya, then he finished 99 of those Yagyas. And then when he was going to do 100, Indra actually came. He came in a dress of ascetic, a saintly person. He had, sannyas robe. And then when he came and he stole the horse for the sacrifice. So 99 were completely successful, but just before the 100 was actually 100 sacrifice was going to take place, Indra came, he stole the horse, right? And then we saw how the son of Prithu Maharaj was very glorious, right? He actually chased behind Indra, and Indra started running, and when he saw the son of Prithu chasing, and we discussed the point that Indra, he did not even because he was doing an inglorious act of stealing the house, he did not even turn back to fight with the son of Prithu Maharaj, right? And we read this point that how Prithu Maharaj's son he tells him, stop, let's fight, let's fight, let's have a fight. But Indra was not willing to do that, and then he actually, the word was Tishta Tishta. Right, the Bhagavatam actually makes a point. Tishta Tishta, and Prabhupada says that is the word used to actually indicate, to challenge a Kshatriya. Right, so you say, so Prithu Maharaj's son challenged Indra, but Indra just disappeared. Right, he just disappeared. And then this happened like few times. And next time this happened, and then Atri Muni said, oh, it's Indra, right? You should shoot him. So the son of Prithu was ready to shoot him, but seeing that saintly dress of Indra, he actually did not shoot the arrow. And then Atri Muni again encouraged him, no, don't consider that he's a saintly person, shoot him, right? Shoot him. So Indra at that moment, again, he just left the horse, he disappeared. And then because son of Prithu, he brought the horse back. His name is Vijit Shava. That Aswa actually referring to the horse, and Vijit means one who actually won the horse back, right? So he brought the horse back to the sacrifice, and then again it happened, and again Prithu son of Vijit Sava was about to shoot the arrow, and he saw, oh, saintly person, oh, maybe I should not do it, right? And then this happened a few times, and then we see how Prithu Maharaj himself got angry, and the main point here is Indra was coming again and again, and he was actually introducing irreligion, right? And that's the whole theme here, that every time Indra came dressed as a sannyasi in a saintly dress, he was introducing irreligion, he was introducing false pretenders. And we discussed this point, that how internally he was fully attached, externally he had the robes of a renunciate. So internal attachment but external detachment, and that is the duplicitous nature. And we talked about this, that how for spiritual life, this kutinati, right, kautilya we said, is actually so harmful for a spiritual life. And we made the point that even, and we read from Jiva Goswami making the point that even a person may be little bit weak in his spiritual life, maybe hridaya daurbalyam, that weakness is there, but still is struggling, doing a little bit. He is better than a person who is kautilya, who is duplicitous, Because as soon as we are duplicious, we are showing, externally we are saying, I am so great. Internally, we have all these anarthas, all these attachments. Then what happens? Immediately we block our progress in spiritual life because we are just pretending. We're just pretending. There is no real, even a drop of sincerity to say like, okay, no, this is who I am. What I am internally, why do I have to hide? That's who I am, right? And if we are in that mood, then Vaishnava sees that, oh, that's his mood. He's so, humble. Let me shower the blessing. But as soon as we are duplicious, we are pretend duplicious, we are Kautilya, then Vaishnava says, oh, he thinks he's so great. Okay. So immediately that mercy stops. So that's the point we discussed, that how this is so harmful for our spiritual life. Then further, we talked about that how Prithu Maharaj, he himself decided that Indra is introducing all these false sannyasis, this false irreligion, and my whole purpose of appearance is to promote religion. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj said, I myself need to actually shoot Indra. So Prithu took up his bow and then he actually was about to shoot Indra. And then the priests who were performing the yajna, they actually said, no, you don't do it. You are the Yajman here. Yajman means the beneficiary of this yajna. So for you to kill, especially in this assembly, to kill someone other than the animal sacrifice, it will actually spoil the whole yajna. So you don't do it. But what's the solution? Indra will continue. He's so stubborn right now. He will continue, stealing the horse. What's the solution? And the priest said, we will do it. We will actually use Vedic mantras, and by that Vedic mantras, Indra will be called, he'll be forced to come. And as soon as he comes, we'll actually offer him into the fire, and Indra will be gone. So the priests themselves say, we will take him. And then they were about to chant that mantra. And we read how Prabhupada talks about the power of these mantras, that they can chant a mantra and Indra would be forced to come. And then, as soon as they're about to chant the mantra, what happened? Brahmaji himself came and he said, stop. Oh, you priest, you stop. Right? And then he said, Indra should not be killed. Right? And he gives different reasons. Why? Because we are doing this yajna. And Indra is one of the beneficiary of the yajna. Right? He is to receive a share of these offerings. And not only that, Indra is actually again a part and parcel of Lord's body. Right? He is empowered by the Lord himself to do the seva of being Indra. Therefore, you should not kill Indra. Right? And then the very important point again we discussed is what? Brahma spoke to whom? Prithu, not Indra. Why? Who's at fault? Indra is at fault. But Brahma chose to speak to Prithu. Why? Why did he do that? Because he realized that Indra is so stubborn right now. He's in this mode of this duplicious nature. He's so stubborn that even if I speak to him, he is not going to listen. The more we try to resist Indra, the more he's going to get more and more he'll continue or he'll further create more irreligious activities. So I won't talk to Indra. Let me talk to Prithu. And here we also discuss that important lesson of how mediation, who is the best mediator, and Brahma is setting the example that he actually decided to speak to Prithu Maharaj, and we see later on by his talking to Prithu, even Indra realizes his mistake. So the point there is the mediator. One way Brahma could have done what? He could say, Indra, you are wrong. Right? And Prithu, you are right, you continue. You have done 99, do the 100. But what would have that done? Indra would have just continued. Right? Continue with his irreligious activities. So he actually chose to speak to Prithu Maharaj. And what did he say, Prithu? He told Prithu Maharaj that let there be only 99. 99 is fine. And then he made the point, see, finally you're doing this for pleasure of Vishnu. And you do 99, Vishnu is pleased with that. You stop at 99, Vishnu will be pleased at that. And then for you, you know the path of liberation. Why do you even need to do this yajna? Right? And then he basically says that you both, he uses a word, you both are one way same. Both of you are path and parcel of Lord. Both of you are one way Shaktavesh. Right? Both of you have been empowered by the Lord. Therefore, both of you are same. Therefore, you should not fight. Right? Okay, and then that very important point where he actually says that if something is happening by the will of providence, and if someone tries to, if you are actually, okay, something has happened by the will of providence, and you are saying, no, no, I cannot accept that, and you are actually trying to change something which is happening by the will of providence, then what happens? Daiva hatam, we ourselves enter into the darkest, dense darkness of materialistic living. So not accepting what the providence is doing, will actually degrade our own mind. So it's very interesting to see that when things happen in our life, we have to see like, okay, is this by the will of providence or do I need to do something about it? Right? So Brahma made the point that, things happen by the will of providence, then don't actually try to do something to change it because that will just degrade you. And then further he says the purpose of incarnation is actually to establish dharma. And if you keep continuing, Indra is going to create a dharma, so you just stop. And Prithu was like, okay, that's what you want? Sure, I'll do that. I will not do the 100 sacrifice, I'll just stop at 99. Right? And he made the point that Prithu, just by you stopping at 99, you will become more famous than Indra. Right? You'll become more famous than Indra. Right? So, which is greater? If Prithu would have done 100, would have been more greater, more glorified, or if he stopped at 99, he's more glorified. So let me share this. And there are these practical lessons, and quickly go through this. Right? So basically, it's a nice. They have this magazine called Bhagavad Pradipika. So in this, if you see even the balance, 99 is greater than 100. Just stopping at 99 is actually more greater than 100. Okay, so let's go through the main points here. Why 99 is greater than 100? The first point that he says here is, he says, flexibility is greater than rigidity. So one way, so here the main point, flexible person is able to adopt himself according to time, place and circumstance, giving importance to the higher principle. Right? So the main point here is that if you are just rigid, it is like that principle how in Nectar of Instruction we see niyamagraha, right? Where he actually say, yes, rules and regulations, we are just attached to rules and regulations without understanding the purpose of the rule and regulation. And if you are just attached, and we see this, many so-called pious Indians, they're just attached to like, oh no, this is what we have to do. Why are we doing it? We don't have an idea. Right? So if we are not aware of the purpose behind the whole thing, what is the intention, then we become rigid. But one who knows the purpose, like here Prithu Maharaj knew, this is for the pleasure of Vishnu. If Vishnu is pleased with 99, then that's my success. So he actually was flexible according to time, place and circumstance. Right? He understood the higher purpose. Prithu did not tell Brahma, why are you telling me? Go tell Indra, his fault. No, he was like, okay, what is the whole purpose? Why Brahma is actually telling this? Right? And then he actually agreed. So, you see here, Prabhu also makes a point. So that's the first point. Right? So that's the first point. Now, second point. So here it says, flexible people win more trust from their superiors than the rigid and strong opinion people. Right? We are flexible. Okay, and particularly in ISKCON, we see people come, they have different ideas, different ways they want to serve. And if we are rigid that, no, this seva means this has to be done only this way. If we are rigid in that way, right? I mean, there's also a consideration that what is best for the service of Prabhupada. So that's there. But if we are simply rigid that, no, my way, everyone else is secondary, then people will be like, this is not the mood of cooperation that Prabhupada actually, told us to follow, that the mood of life. Yes, whatever is, okay, you want to try this, let's do it. And then we see that mood that when there's more flexibility, there's more cooperation. There is more unity rather than, my way, highway, so that's first point. Second point, submissiveness is greater than stubbornness. Right? So Indra was so stubborn. He was almost, like here he said, he's obsessed and overwhelmed with his desire. Why was Indra so stubborn? He was saying, no, I am Shatakritu. No one else should be Shatrughat. If he becomes, he'll take my position. So he's so insecure about his position and he's stubborn. No, 100, no one should actually be 100, known as the one who did 100 half sacrifice. Only me. That's stubbornness. And therefore Brahma did not even talk to Indra. So, and here it says, stubborn people cannot be convinced by logic and reason or even authority at times. So even Brahma, though he's the authority of Indra, Indra would not have agreed or listened to Brahma. Right? So to end the competition between Indra and Prithu, Brahma thought that instead of allowing Indra to introduce a religious system, I will stop Prithu Maharaj. Right? So a submissive subordinate will be bestowed with the necessary intelligence and information to comprehend things from a broader perspective. So if we are submissive, so again, Indra was stubborn and Brahma didn't talk. But if submissive, then Brahma came, he talked to him and he's very pleased. And at the end of the chapter, what did we see? Everyone, the demigods, the brahmanas, that Prithu stopped at 99. He was not stubborn, he's submissive to Brahma's instruction. Everyone was so pleased that everyone showered unlimited blessings on Prithu. And that's how the chapter ended. Right? So if we are submissive, we receive more blessings. If we are stubborn, then we may lose out. Right? So, third point, responsibility is greater than attachment, or detachment is greater than irresponsibility. Right? So, yes, so there was so Indra had the responsibility. Right? He is actually the king of heaven. Right? So he should not have introduced so many irreligious activities. But he introduced. Why? Because of his attachment. So our responsibility should never be given a lower position than our attachment. Our responsibility is always greater. So yes, we may be attached to certain things, but you have to see what is finally our responsibility here. Like we have different roles in the society, in even different services. So we have to see, okay, am I just attached to something, or what is the bigger principle of responsibility? So here it says, how to live with responsibility and detachment. Right? Both of these needs to be there. So Prithu Maharaj's sacrifice is ultimately intended for the welfare of people. And if stopping the sacrifice would cause better welfare, then why wouldn't he do so? He took it as his responsibility. So Prithu Maharaj's responsibility was, I am the king. I need to do something for the welfare of people. And now if I am attached to 100, then irreligion will spread throughout the society. And then if irreligion spreads, then the whole purpose of this yajna is actually lost. Right? So responsibility, he gave more importance to the responsibility rather than the attachment. Then dependence on God. Next principle is dependence on God is greater than insecurity. Right? So Indra was insecure. As soon as he heard 99, he's going to do 100, his position became insecure. But what was Prithu's? He was just dependent on Vishnu. Right? So here he actually quotes 34, text 34, where he says, my dear king, do not be agitated and anxious because your sacrifices have not been properly executed due to providential impediments. Kindly take my words with great respect. We should always remember that if something happens by providence, then we should not be very sorry. We should not change that providence. So we depend on Krishna. Whatever the situation, whatever happens in life, okay, this is Krishna's plan for me. We accept that rather than become insecure about our position. Right? Accepting Krishna's will, accepting providence in our life. Now next principle, forgiveness greater than envy. Indra was envious, right? He was envious, and that's why he actually didn't want anyone to have that. But what is Prithu Maharaj? And Prithu Maharaj had every reason to say, like, Brahma, not my mistake, your mistake. But Prithu just agreed. He was like, okay. And then we'll see in today's chapter how Vishnu himself comes and appears in sacrifice, and Indra is there. And what's the first thing Vishnu tells Indra? Vishnu tells Prithu Maharaj, Lord Vishnu tells Prithu Maharaj, forgive Indra. And yes, Prithu Maharaj said, okay, yeah, I don't even, I did not even take an offense. I'm not angry, I'm no envy, I forgive Indra. So here, um, any sacrifice is meant for satisfying the Supreme Lord Vishnu, whose mercy is the source of all prosperity and power. The nature of this material world is that even if one does a good deed with a pure intention as a service to the Supreme Personality of God and humanity, still there are some envious people who cannot tolerate it. There'll always be. You're doing something, nice seva, and there'll be people who are envious. One's envy that is intended to destroy others ultimately destroys oneself itself. Right? And he makes a point. Envy is self-envy. Right? We discussed this point last time from Jiva Goswami. That when we are envious, who's pained by that? We ourselves. Because we are envious, we ourselves are pained by that. So envy is actually our own self-envy. Right? Further, everyone there is satisfied with what one has and one is. One can bring such. Yeah. So basically, here it is saying that in the material world, that is the principle of scarcity. If someone has this, then I can have that only if that person does not have it. So because there's scarcity of it. But in spiritual world, it's not like that. Spiritual world means like, oh, you have it? Yeah. All glories to you. I appreciate it. And if you want it, we pray for it. We beg for the mercy. Right? So everyone there is satisfied. Yeah, okay. See, and this point, one's glory is not actually dependent on one's accomplishments, but on the quality of one's consciousness and character. What is more important? Oh, I distributed so many books, or this is my accomplishment, or one's consciousness or one character. So very nice point here. Okay, next point. Broad vision is greater than quick solution. When there's a conflict between two leaders, their superior cannot always think of who is right and who is wrong and accept one and reject one. If Brahma would have done that, so Prithu, you are right, Indra, you are wrong. Then what would have happened? Indra would still have been stubborn and saying, no, Brahmaji. And Indra would have been more, because he is now disobeying the order of Brahma, he would have been more degraded. So Indra would have fallen, or like maybe destroyed because of that. But Brahma actually chose. He said a mature leader tries to resolve conflicts without rejecting people. Such a nice point. He wanted both of them to be there. Indra, you have a role, and Prithu, you have a role. So let me talk to Prithu. Prithu will listen. By his listening, by his forgiving Indra, both can actually continue. So Indra, you can continue as heaven, a king of heaven, and Prithu, you can be the king and continue. Right? So Brahma's way of dealing with the situation announced the glorious qualities of Prithu for all generations to come and brought a positive transformation in Indra's character. So it was win-win situation. Okay. Next point. Last point. Character is greater than accomplishment. So we mentioned that. Prithu's character that were described above are much greater than Indra's accomplishment and 100 sacrifices. So 99 is actually greater than 100. And here, the last conclusion here is Prithu's flexibility. So this actually, all the points are here. Prithu's flexibility in conflict, submissiveness to superiors, detachment from ambition, responsibility towards people, forgiveness towards a wrongdoer, dependence on Krishna's will, ready acceptance of good advice, willingness to compromise, and then, So the blessings he received from Indra, the mercy he received from Lord Vishnu and pure devotees he had in his heart, all put together is millions of times greater than 100 horse sacrifices. Right? So such a beautiful article. So we'll stop with that discussion. Okay, is that okay, everyone? Practical points. I mean, this is such a nice theme to discuss how 99 is greater than 100 and practical for our spiritual life also. See what is really important in a spiritual life. More accomplishments or mercy, blessings, character. So, any comments on this? Any questions? Anyone?
Prabhuji, is it possible to share that?
Yes, I'll share. I'll put in the group. Can you all appreciate the points in that? Yes?
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Very beautiful, very practical. Just wondering, Prabhu, why did Indra did like is so elevated person? Yeah.
Yeah, we this is point, right? We see Indra. Yes, he's a devotee of Vishnu, but he's Sakal. You know, you often make this point. Sakal means he has that desires that I am the king of heaven. Right? We see again and again because of that one way insecurity about his position. Right? He's insecure that if someone does, and Indra is always in that position. Anyone on earth or anywhere they are doing a lot of austerities, and Indra is like, he'll take my position. Just like maybe in the in a company, and like someone comes and joins the company, and all of a sudden he's doing like so many things, and he's impressing this boss and the director, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, he's going to take over my position. Like so Indra is always insecure, and because of the insecurity, what happens? Envy, and because of envy, what happens? Then someone like just going back to that job example, someone may say like, oh, he's so glorious, and he's like, really, I accept, like he's very talented, he has a lot of information, he is very knowledgeable, he can do five things at one time, all those things. I cannot beat him, I cannot do better than him. Then what will we do? We'll try to do something duplicious, and we'll say, "Oh, he's doing that," but we may go to the manager and say, "But you know what? He did this, and he's so and so, right?" And that's basically like Indra's nature, and that's why he could not directly defeat Prithu. He knew Prithu was greater than him. Therefore, what did he do? He started introducing irreligion. So it is all a consequence of that uh, insecurity about position leading to envy, and then when envy comes, all these things follow. Right? Then we discussed from Jeev Goswami last time about the problem with envy. Right? This whole section was about envious nature. Right? So So I mean, it's very practical point also. Like as soon as even a person with a good heart, with like yeah, I'm doing sadhana, but as soon as like some envy comes, how it can degrade one's consciousness. So you have to be so careful of envy, and that's why last time we discussed that whole section where what are the practical points to overcome envy, and we concluded the main point we concluded is humility is a sadhana. We have to practice cultivating humility with our body, mind, and words. All three.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Any points? Okay. You're in approve?
No, no, Prabhu, I was just thinking that we see time and again about like how Indra makes the mistakes and but he gets chastised and rectified, but he's not rejected. So that is what I was thinking that um, uh, yeah, when because he's a devotee, he's a Sakam devotee, but he's a devotee. So the Lord, once accepts someone, so he may give troubles or to rectify him or to chastise him, but like he never rejects him. That is what I know. I don't know whether this is a correct
Yeah, I mean
way
that's
to look at it, or but it's not that he was dethroned or anything like that. Yeah, time and again we see that he gets rectified and chastised, but he retains the position of
yeah.
being Indra.
Yeah, that's a very nice point actually. We can see that in like two ways. One is Indra as a king of heaven has responsibilities. So we know the story of how he was cursed to become a pig, right? And then Brahmaji comes and say, "Oh, I need to bring Indra back. Who will do his responsibilities of being the king of heaven?" So he has one way those responsibilities, and for that, Krishna says, "Okay, I have appointed you. You do your task. You do. I need you to do your task." Right? I mean, Krishna can always replace Indra's position, but once he's appointed, he said, "Okay, you continue." And then the other thing on the side of bhakti. So one is the responsibility, the material responsibilities of being the king of heaven. Other side is point of bhakti, where we see Yes, one way, Indra is a devotee, he worships Vishnu, you know. So, yes, so because he accepting Vishnu, he's worshipping Vishnu, we see that in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, right, where they glorify one of the, stages, like after the South India king, right, in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Narad Muni is sent to actually says, what about me? You should go to Indra. He's so glorious, right? And he glorifies Indra. And then he goes to Indra, and Indra actually says, I keep making faults. Why are you coming to me? Go to the next person. Right? So, one way, because Indra is a devotee, yes, Krishna actually does not reject him. He's like, okay, whatever it is, you are worshipping me, you accept me. So, even with all your faults, I will accept you. So, I mean, that's, we can relate to ourselves. With all our faults, Krishna accepts us. So, yes, Prabhu, thank you. Any other points? Okay, ready for the next chapter? Chapter number 20. Lord Vishnu's appearance in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Prithu. Right? So, it's interesting, like if you see the chronology, like actually in the starting of 19th chapter, we saw Prithu Maharaj sacrifice excel Indra's sacrifice. In that section, we see how the Lord has arrived, accompanied by Siddhas, Vidyadharas, all that, and various gifts were offered in sacrifice. So that comes, and immediately then we start off with Indra's envy. And this chapter starts off with Vishnu actually coming. Right? So here actually, let's do the first verse, and I'll connect the points. Okay, let's start with 421.
Okay, Canto 4, Chapter 20, Text 1. Maitreya Uvacha Bhagavanapi Vaikunta Sakam Magavata Vibhuhu Yagya Yagyapatis Tushto Yagya Bhuktam Abhashata. Arjunati Mataji?
Hare Krishna. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, being very much satisfied by the performance of 99 horse sacrifices, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, appeared on the scene. Accompanying him was King Indra. Lord Vishnu then began to speak. Hare Krishna.
Right. So one way, the point I was earlier making is that we read about all these personalities coming, but actually here it says that when did Vishnu appear? Only when he was sacrificed with Prithu doing 99. Prithu's acceptance of 99 and stopping, then here it was clearly says, he says, Bhagwan Vaikunta, the Lord of Vaikunta, Sakam Magavata. Right, so this is very interesting. Sakam, he came along with whom? King Indra. He brought King Indra to the thing. And then Yagyapati, that Yagyapati, the Lord of all Yagya, Yagya Bhuk, that enjoyer of Yagya. And why are these words here used? Yagyapati, Yagya Bhuk? Because I'm again stressing on the main point that Prithu Maharaj, by stopping at 99, he had pleased in Vishnu. So he understood my whole sacrifice is pleased. So even 99, Vishnu is pleased. That's what Brahmaji has said. So I'll be there. So Tushtaha Yagya, he was satisfied by performance of that Prithu's 99, and then Tam Abhasata, he said to Prithu. Right. So another point here is actually he says Asakam Magavata. So that means the Lord is bringing his portion, Indra. So the point is stressed that Indra is also one way a Shaktavesh because he's empowered by the Lord. Right? So Vishnu brought his own, Amsha, his own portion. Text 2. And then here, text 1 says, Tam Abhasata. Vishnu said this to Prithu Maharaj. So from text 2 all the way to text 16 is Vishnu's instructions to Prithu Maharaj. Okay, so we'll see this. Text 2.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Esha te karshirбhagam Hayameda shatasyaha Kshama atmanam Amushya kshantum arhasi. Varshana Priya Mataji. Gagandi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, said, "My dear King Prithu, Indra, the King of Heaven, has disturbed your execution of 100 sacrifices. Now he has come with me to be forgiven by you. Therefore, excuse him." Hare Krishna.
Hmm. I mean, it's so interesting that Vishnu is come with Indra, and in front of Indra, he's clearly saying, Prithu, this is Indra. It was his fault that he stopped your 100 sacrifice. It is like clear. Like Vishnu is coming in, he's not saying that, oh, Indra is also here. He should not feel bad. He's like coming and the first thing he says, Esha, this Indra right here, right? He's your Hayameda. He is the one who stopped your 100, Shatasya, 100, Bhangam. He is the one who actually destroyed your 100 horse sacrifice. But what I want you to do is Shamapayata Atmana. Right? He is asking pardon to you. So what you should do? Shantumarasi. You forgive him. You forgive Indra. Right? And then, so Prabhupada in the purport, he actually says this word Atmanam is used. Shamayapataha Atmanam. Right? So Prabhupada says Atmanam, the yogis and jnanis, they address one another, right? Or even an ordinary person as one's self. Right? Because he accepts that a living being, it's not the body, right? He never accepts a living being to the body. Right? And then basically Prabhupada is saying the body is only a superficial covering, and consequently an advanced transcendence will not make a distinction between oneself and another. So basically here, how we see in Bhagavad Gita, where we see Krishna makes the point that one who sees the spirit soul, a learned transcendentalist, he sees spirit soul, everyone he sees that. Hence Prabhupada is saying, that's the word Atmanam, saying that everyone is actually a spirit soul of Krishna. Right? So why is that important here? Why is Vishnu using the word Atmanam? To actually tell Prithu that he is also my part and parcel. Therefore forgive him. And this I found is really interesting because, in this material world we have conflicts and we are like, oh, how that person acted, I can never forgive that person. But Vishnu is saying, no, even that person, he made mistake, he is my part and parcel. Therefore forgive him. So seeing everyone in connection to Krishna. And even if they make offense, because they are connected to Krishna, we say, okay, that's fine. We are all in the same boat. We all make mistakes. He is also an Amsha of Krishna. Because I love Krishna, I will forgive that person. So nice of Vishnu say, because you love me, he is my Amsha, you forgive him. Text 3.
Suriya sadavo loke naradeva narottamaha nabhi ruryanti bhutebhyo yarinatma kalevaram.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O King, one who is advanced in intelligence and eager to perform welfare activities for others is considered best amongst human beings. An advanced human being is never malicious to others. Those with advanced intelligence are always conscious that this material body is different from the soul. Hare Krishna.
So, very nice point here. Okay. So what is the point that Vishnu is actually telling Prithu? So he already used the word Atmanam for Indra, saying that he is my part and parcel, and already that distinguishes the body of Indra with the soul of Indra. Right? So here he says, Naradeva, O king, a person who is two words he actually used, Sudhiya and Sadhava. Right? Sudhiya means those who are most intelligent person, and Sadhava, that's inclined to perform welfare activities for others. He is Nara Uttama. He is considered as the best of all human beings. Right? So basically here, Vishnu is telling that a person who is intelligent and who is inclined to do welfare for others, he is the best of all human beings. And then such a person, na abhi dhruyanti bhutebhya. He never becomes malicious towards other living entity. Yari na atma kalevaram. Because they consider the atma, not the body, right? Not this body. So basically, again, I just mentioned that point. That how is it possible to be violent towards other living entities? Like when we are envious of other living entity, or when we are violent to the other living entity, who are we violent? Are you violent to the body or to your soul? I mean, one way body means it's just earth, water, air, fire, ether. Right? If you are angry upon someone, body is just earth, water, air, fire, ether. And if you are angry at that person as a spirit soul is always pure, path and pasa. So why are we angry? So hence Vishnu is making the point that those who are intelligent, want to do good for others, they are the best because they see beyond the body. They say, yes, as a conditioned soul, we have three modes of material nature. And Prabhupada explains this point in the purport. He says, as a spirit, jiva, we have Padapasa of Lord, we are pure. But when we actually fall into this material world, then we are conditioned by Maya, by the three modes of material nature. And then he quotes Bhagavad Gita 5:14. न कर्तृत्वम न कर्माणि, न कर्तृत्वम न कर्माणि, लोकस्य सृजति प्रभु न कर्म फल संयोगम स्वभावस्तु परिवर्तते. So in the 5th chapter, Krishna actually explains the embodied spirit, master of the city of body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. How many times in Bhagavad Gita do we hear Krishna making this point that we are not the doer? What is the other famous verse? That we are not the doer. Very famous. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani vyavasa ahankara vimudatam kartaham iti manyate. Only out of false ego we think we are the doer. And if we have that concept that we are the doer, that person is doing, then Krishna is saying, no. And hence Prabhupada quotes that this the embodied spirit, he does not create activities, he does not induce other people to act, nor does he create the fruit of actions. All this is done by whom? Prakriti Kriya Manani. Who is the doer? The three modes of material nature. And hence, this is such a nice point that, when we feel envy towards others, then we actually think, finally, everything is happening by the three modes of material nature. He's not the doer, I'm not the doer, right? So that's the point. And also in the 18th chapter, right, if you see from Shloka 14 onwards, then Krishna actually talks about, he says, for every action, there are five main factors for the action. What is it? The first one he actually says is the place, the body, right? So body. Then second he says the performer. Third he says the various senses. Fourth he says the different kinds of endeavor. And finally who? The Paramatma. Right? So they are the 5 factors for any action. Therefore, whatever right or wrong a man performs by his body, mind or words is caused by the 5 factors. Right? So with our body, mind and words, anything we do is finally all these 5 factors. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent. And he cannot see things as they are. One who is not motivated by ahankar, false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, he does not kill, nor is he bound by his action. Right? So Prabhupada explains this point very nicely, which Bhagavad Gita we see in 3rd chapter, 5th chapter, 18th chapter. Krishna explains that we are not the only doer. There are all these factors, these 5 factors which are responsible for any action. Okay. So those who are advanced, they are never envious because they know it's neither the soul, it is neither that, nor the activities of soul under 3 modes of material nature. He does not take any action against the soul or the body. If there is any discrepancy, he just forgives. Right? And this is a quality of one who is actually advanced in spiritual life. Right? So in 3rd canto, we discussed the qualities of a Vaishnava. In 3rd canto, 25th chapter. Anyone remembers that verse?
Titiksha Karunika. So
Titiksha Karnika, right? So Titiksha, the first thing what Krishna says, tolerant. Why tolerant? Because he has a spiritual vision. And whatever a person does, he says, anyway, he is not the only doer. This is finally it is the three modes of material nature, which is finally under control of Krishna. So Krishna is making this person do so and so. Why? For something. Krishna has a plan for me. All the things that's happening, Krishna has a plan for me. So, okay, that point, how Vishnu is explaining to Prithu that, why he should not maintain any envy towards Indra. Because he's not the only doer. Right? Are you envious of Indra's soul? No, that's a part of me. Indra's body, and the body is just material. Right? So, just be tolerant. Just be tolerant. Right? Okay. Text 4.
Purusha yadi muyanti tvadusha deva mayaya shrama eva param jato dirgaya vrida sevaya.
Hare Krishna. If a personality like you, who are so much advanced because of executing the instructions of the previous acharyas, is carried away by the influence of my material energy, then all your advancement may be considered simply a waste of time.
So it says, Purusha yadi muyanti tradrisha. He says, you, Prithu, you're so advanced in knowledge, advanced in spiritual realization. Like, if people like you are bewildered by Maya, then all your advanced senses, Shrama eva. Which is the other verse, Shrama eva hi kevalam. Dharma sonasida pumsa vishvaksya katasvaya na utpada yadi radim Shrama eva hi kevalam. It's useless. Like, you have progressed so much in your bhakti, and now having progressed so much in your spiritual realization, if you are going to maintain that envy, if you are going to be angry at Indra, if you are not going to forgive Indra, then all your advancement is Shrama eva, is useless, waste of time. Right? Jataha digaya vriddha sevaya. And realization is produced by serving superiors for a long time. Right? So this realization, right, is actually obtained by serving Vriddha. Now this Vriddha, elderly person, what does this mean? Right? Service, and Prabhupada clearly makes a point. The Vriddha Seva means service to our grandparents, our old people. No, Vriddha Seva really means service to the Gurus and Acharyas. Why? Because just last verse, Krishna has actually, Vishnu has defeated the point that we should see anyone in terms of the body. So he would not actually, we have already made the point that beyond the body we are spirit soul, and now Vishnu would not make a point based on the age of the body. So therefore the Vriddha means one who is actually learned in wisdom, who is advanced in spiritual wisdom. Therefore Prabhupada says, Vriddha Seva means service to our acharyas, to liberated person. So, and no one is perfect in knowledge without being trained by a parampara system. And Prithu was trained in that line. He was trained in parampara. Therefore, he had the wisdom, he had the realization. Therefore, Krishna is saying, you are so realized. So if you actually are envious, then all your learning is useless. And, practically, like, we may see that also in our life. Like, if we are, practicing Krishna consciousness for a few years, and if you're still maintaining envy or unable to forgive, then are we really progressing, right? So that's the point. Text 5.
Ata kayamimam vidvan avidya kama karma bihi arabdha iti naivasmin pratibudho nushajate.
Next 5. Those who are in full knowledge of the bodily conception of life, who know that this body is composed of nescience, desires, and activities resulting from illusion, do not become addicted to the body. Hare Krishna.
So basically saying Vidwan, one who has knowledge, what does he do? Imam kayam. This body, he knows is what? Arabdha is created by what? 3 things. What is the body created of? One is avidya, nescience. Second is kama, desires. And third is karma. Right? Because of avidya, right? We remember how Brahma, he created 5 kinds of avidya. For anyone here in this material world, we are subjected to those. right? 5 kinds of ignorance. So avidya, and our body is a symptom of that avidya. Then our body is made of avidya. Then second is made of desires. We have so many desires. So Prabhupada talks about like how there are so many desires in the material world. One is the desire to enjoy our senses, sense gratification. So Prabhupada says body, there are two types of activities. One is sense gratification activities. Second is one will become happy by trying to satisfy his desires. Right? One is directly engaging sense gratification. One is actually making plans that if I do this, then I can satisfy my desire. I can get so and so body. I can get so and so position. I can maybe enter Swargaloka. All that is actually the body. Because of the body, we have all these activities. And also, even further, he says also material activity, political, social, humanitarian, right? And all of this, Prabhupada says, all right. So whatever we desire or perform under the bodily conception is all illusion. So either our sense gratification activities or our desires to attain so and so, or political or social or humanitarian activities to help people, all those, as long as they are done under bodily conception of life, they are all illusion, Maya. I mean, that's a strong statement, right? But that's the whole mood of our Shastra. Right? Therefore, Vishnu is telling to Prithu Maharaj that, I mean, you are so learned. You don't need to perform this sacrificial performance, this 99, this Ashwamedha Yagya, right? And therefore, Prabhupada quotes 245. And he says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nishtraigunya Bhavarjuna, Nirdvando Nitya Sattvaso, Niryoga Shema Atma. Right? Basically, here in the second chapter, Krishna is telling Arjun, now why are you attached to all these, principles of the Vedas, which are, subject to the three modes of material nature? So, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, the Vedas is actually consisting of three modes. Okay, you want to do this Sattva, do this Yagya, and so on. But Nishtraigunya Bhavarjuna, oh Arjun, you rise above the three words. You take to devotional service. So even in second chapter, Krishna has established that point, and Prithu is making the same point. Why do you have to do a sacrifice? You know better. You know better. So you don't have to do this. Next verse, text 6.
Asam shakta shariresmin amunod padite grihe apatye dravine vapi ka kuryan mamatam buddha.
Hare Krishna. How can a highly learned person who has absolutely no affinity for the bodily conception of life be affected by the bodily conception in regard to house, children, wealth, and similar other bodily productions?
So it's continuing on the same thing. Vishnu is making the point. He's saying asam saktaha sharire amuna buddha. So one is Buddha, one is actually learned person who is unattached, right? Sharire, he is unattached to his body, and amuna, and the bodily concept of life. Mamatam utpadite. So if we understand we are not this body, we are not the doer, if we are understanding all this, then how can such a person be attached to things which are obtained from the body or which are connected to the body, which are produced from this bodily conception, like grihe, apatye, dravine, the house, children, wealth. Right? So basically, in the purport, Prabhupada explains that when we do these Vedic ritualistic sacrifices, who are we doing? Who are we pleasing by doing all this? One way we say Yagyo vai Vishnu, to please Vishnu. But when people do karma kanda sacrifices, who are they trying to please? It is like, yes, I want to please Vishnu, but that is just very superficial. They are doing it just for their own satisfaction. I will do this so that I get so and so opulence, right? I get starting good wife, then good husband, then business, all those things, right? All those things. So who are we satisfied? Just us. Right? So we have desires, and we understand that I cannot fulfill my desires without this yagya. Therefore, I'll do this yagya. Swaha Vishnu, you be pleased, but give me this. Right? So hence, on this verse, Krishna is making the point. If you are already above the bodily concept, why would you be attached to all these Vedas. Therefore, rise above all this, like Nishtraigunya, engage in devotional service. So for you, you don't even need to do this. Prithu, 99 yagyas, you don't need to do this. Right? Now, one way is very interesting. I was thinking about this point. When Vishnu is talking to Prithu, giving all these instructions, who is he giving instructions to one way?
Indra.
Yeah, Indra is standing next to him, and one may say that actually these instructions are more applicable to Indra rather than Prithu, right? Because all these, like if you say, like Prithu, why Prithu attached to body, attached to things of this body? Who is attached? Right? So Indra is with him, and he's talking to Prithu and saying, Prithu, please forgive Indra, and you should know that you are not this body, you are not this doer, you shouldn't be attached to things of the body. And who is he talking to? Indra is listening to all this. So that's the whole beauty. Like Brahma spoke to Prithu in the previous chapter, and now Vishnu is speaking to Prithu, but who is getting transformed? Indra. Indra. So that's the whole point here. And it's so beautiful that, sometimes, practically even in a family, maybe like, some like children, like okay, two people are, two children are fighting, and the young one, maybe at fault and coming and doing this to the elder one, and you may go and give instructions to the elder one, saying that you are so learned, you're in high school, you should know better, that you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't fight, you shouldn't be so possessive, you should share things with others. They may be teaching to the elder one, but who is listening? The younger one. And the younger one is learning because if the younger one is spoken, then he'll be like, oh, no, tell him, he's, he won't listen. So similarly here, we see how, so there's so much like dynamics and like practical instructions here. Right? Okay, 7.
Ekashudha swayam jyotir nirguno so gunashrayah sarvagonavrita sakshi niratmatmatmana paraha.
Hare Krishna. The individual soul is one, pure, non-material, and self-effulgent. He is the reservoir of all good qualities, and he is all-pervading. He is without material covering, and he is the witness of all activities. He is completely distinguished from other living entities, and he is transcendental to all embodied souls. Hare Krishna.
So one way you see Vishnu's instructions is more of like understanding we are not the body, we are spirit, soul, understanding we are not the doer. So in this verse, he's actually giving 9 differences between the body, the conditioned jiva, and then the pure jiva. Right? So actually there are 4 categories. One is the body, right? The external body. One is the conditioned jiva, right? Jiva who is in this material world, subject to the 3 modes of material nature. One is the jiva, the pure jiva, and then the 4th is Paramatma. So one way if you see what are the 9 points, first he says Ekaha, right? Eka means one. So Prabhupada explains this point that he says the super soul is one. Right? Super soul is one. Now the spirit soul as such, when we are conditioned, then we see so much variety. We have 8.4 million species of life, right? So we are not seeing Eka. But a conditioned soul will see, okay, there is this person conditioned by so mode, there's a bird, so many kinds of birds. He sees variety. So the body, if you see from the bodily concept, then body is, yes, for sure is different. Conditioned jiva, because he sees body, he'll see a difference. But the soul understands. When he comes to realization, he actually sees, yes, everyone is one. And Paramatma is actually one. You see the word Ekaha, how it's applicable to all these 4, that difference. Right? So similarly, there are 9 points in this verse that we can explain in terms of body, the conditioned jiva, the pure jiva, and Paramatma. Right? So first is Ekaha. Second one is Shuddha. Shuddha means pure. Right? So now the body itself, body is just earth, water, air, fire, ether. Right? I mean, it's just matter. So there's actually no consideration that way. Matter is matter. Next, for the conditioned jiva, what is his position? Ashuddha. He's not pure. Right? Because the jiva is identifying with the body, he is impure. Because I am this, I am this. Right? Now, next with the jiva. Is the jiva pure? Yes, originally the jiva is actually untouched. Asango hi purusha. He's untouched by this material nature. So jiva is pure. And super soul is always pure. Right? Always pure. So first point is ekaha, second is shuddha, third is swayam jyotir. Swayam jyotir means self-effulgent. Is Paramatma self-effulgent? Yes. Is jiva self-effulgent? Not yes, but he is reflecting the effulgence of Vishnu, the pure jiva. So one way the particle of sun, right? Particle of sun. So then whatever the conditioned jiva is not self-effulgent, certainly not. And in the body, there is no consideration. So third point. Fourth point is what? Nirguno. So nirguno means is without the three modes of material nature. Is the jiva subjected to the three modes of material nature? Yes or no? Actually, the pure jiva has nothing to do with the three modes.
Not pure jiva,
But when the jiva misidentifies with his material body, then yes, it's subjected to the three modes. Now, is Paramatma subjected? No. He is actually the controller of the three modes. Okay. Then fifth point is what? Gunashraya, reservoir of good qualities. Right. Now, conditioned soul is Gunashrita. He's engaged by material qualities, but the super soul is Gunashraya, reservoir of good qualities. Then sixth point, Sarvago. The super soul is able to go everywhere. Right. Prabhupada makes a point in Krishna says in second chapter, he describes the spirit soul as what? Sarvagataha. He's everywhere. Right? Everywhere. Right? So the spirit soul can take body of a bird or a body of a aquatic, anywhere. Right? But the conditioned soul, he cannot go anywhere on his own. He's controlled by the laws of material nature. Then anavrita. He's uncovered by matter, but the conditioned jiva is avrita, covered by matter. Then shakshi. The spirit soul, the super soul is actually witness. The pure soul, is it shakshi? Yes. A pure soul, and like 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we see how Krishna says, while eating, sleeping, mating, all those activities, a pure soul realizes that I am not the doer. All this is actually interaction of the sense with the sense object. I have nothing to do with all this. So pure soul is the witness. But conditioned jiva is, he's not witness. He actually identifies with every situation. And then ninth one is niratmanatmana. Is independent of the jiva, but the jiva is dependent on super soul. And paraha. That last point of paraha that Prabhupada explains is applicable to the super soul. The super soul is always transcendental to this material nature. Okay. So these are the different points. Yes. Okay. And Prabhupada makes a point that he says that in the previous verse, the word asamsaktaha, without attachment, is actually used. And one who understands is not the body, who should not be attached to things of this body. Then Prabhupada says that when will that come? One should be fully cognizant of everything. Full cognizance, one should know our constitutional position and Paramatma. So basically he's saying it's not enough to know just that I am an Atma. One should actually know who is Paramatma, what is the difference between the Paramatma, the pure jiva, the conditioned jiva, and the body. Right? So that's been described by Vishnu here. Okay, text 8.
या एवं सन्तम् आत्मानम् आत्मस्थं वेद पुरुषः नाज्यते प्रकृतिस्थोऽपि तद्गुणैः समयि स्थितः.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Although within the material nature, one who is thus situated in full knowledge of the Paramatma and Atma is never affected by the modes of material nature, for he is always situated in my transcendental loving service. Hare Krishna.
So basically here he's saying, yeah, anyone who evam Veda, one who actually knows this, has this wisdom. What? The wisdom of the difference between body, the spirit soul, conditioned jiva, and then Paramatma. One who knows this, right? Santam, right? Atmastam, Atmanam. And he knows that existing within the body is two birds, right? The spirit soul and the super soul. Right? And if he knows this, then na ajyate prakriti, he is not affected by the material nature, api tadgunai, although situated in the modes of material nature. Sa mai sthita, and such a person is situated in me. Right? So one who knows this difference, he is not subjected by the three modes of material nature. And which is a verse in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada quotes that verse. 1426 Prabhupada says, Mamcho yoga vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samateta brahma bhuyaya kalpate. The one who actually engages in devotion service, he rises above the three modes of material nature. Right? And here Prabhupada, Vishnu is saying, Sa mai sthita, he is actually situated in me, not in his body. Though he is in the body, but he is not subjected by the three modes of material nature because he is in me. And also Prabhupada quotes Rupa Goswami here, who actually says, Iha yasya harer dasya karmana manasagira nikhila api avasato jivan mukta sauchate. Right? So basically here, Rupa Goswami is saying that one who always engages with his body, with his mind, with his words, in the service of Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though he is in this material world, he is what? Jivan mukta. He is liberated. So liberation does not mean that, okay, we have to die and then we become liberated. Even within this body, a jiva can be liberated. How? By having this concept of engaging a body, mind, and words in the service of the Lord. Okay. So one practical point I was thinking, how does, okay, maybe I'll just ask because it's like a little bit technical section. Would anyone like to comment, like, how does this knowledge work for us in the path of bhakti? Understanding we are not this body, we are spirit, soul. Understanding that Paramatma is right here within us. He is the witness, Upadrishta, Anumanta. Practically in our path of bhakti, how do we realize this? How does that whole concept work as we are progressing in bhakti?
Vijay, we can forgive other people. We realize that they are also pure spirit soul and they are part of my Krishna, part and parcel of my Krishna. They are acting under the modes, and so we can forgive them and not be envious of others' progress too.
Yes. That's a good point. So, as we are progressing in bhakti, one way to see how much we are progressing in bhakti is we see how our vision changes of other people, right? When we see that, okay, our vision that we see everyone, and now in Krishna consciousness and bhakti, what is our mood? We see everyone as like somehow or other, I want to help that person in the spiritual life. That's our mood. We are not envious anymore. We give up that envy. Whatever a person is doing, we are willing to forgive. We are saying, somehow or other, take this book on yoga and meditation. Transform your life. We want to somehow or other help everyone in their spiritual journey. Okay, so one point. Any other points? Like practically in a day-to-day life, when you hear all this, talking on the modes, etc., etc. Anyone? You following the question?
I'm just thinking, probably at least it will help us to distinguish when we are when the mind says something, when we are doing some things, we can distinguish. Okay, and now I'm under the influence of mind. It is asking me to do something.
Yes, that's a very nice point. So second point we can see practically is that verse apuryamanam achala pratishtam 270 of Bhagavad Gita, right? Then basically, as we are progressing, we are seeing that desires will come. Krishna says in the second chapter, desires, just like rivers flow into the ocean, desires will keep coming. Even when we take bhakti, desires will come. We see something and like, oh, but a person, as we are progressing in bhakti, we realize that, oh, this is just a desire of the mind. And this is just going to put me back into material nature, and again I'll try to satisfy it, and then I'll be displeased, and it's not service, it's not favorable for Krishna consciousness. All those points will be there. And then we say like, okay, Krishna, please say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Okay, I don't want to satisfy that desire. So internally, we actually become strengthened how we can overcome the temptations of this world. So, and then, third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked like, why everyone is, even though we know we still do the wrong thing. And Krishna says, what? Kamesha Krodha. And what's the solution he ends with? One has to cultivate deliberate spiritual wisdom. We have to study Shastra. So just by understanding this, we are strengthening our intelligence so that when the mind tricks us, the intelligence says, no, this is just a trick of Maya. I won't do this. Okay, very nice. Anything else?
Prabhuji, another practical point for me at least is that um, as we always say that I'm walking on a double-edged sword always. Maya is always there. The three modes are always acting, but only if I'm constantly chanting, constantly, unflinchingly engaged, then only I could be protected.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we understand how Maya is so strong, and hence we always want to be cautious. Okay. Yeah. Practically, like, what does this wisdom mean for us? Like one point, anyway, there's 2 points are good. One point I was thinking is like in this section we are seeing how the three modes of material nature act upon us. Right? They're always acting. And the modes act like, throughout the day. We get up in the morning, right? And the point I was actually thinking is that throughout the day we are subjected to modes of sattvagun, rajagun, tamogun. More of raja and tamo. But as we are progressing in bhakti, irrespective of the influence of the modes, we keep our strength in bhakti. That means like, even though like, okay, yeah, now this mode is very strong, but still, let me continue study Shastra. I'm feeling, more of passion or Rajagun is coming. Like, my point that I'm trying to make is that as we progress in bhakti, we become more and more strong to overcome the influence of the modes. Rajagun will act, Tamogun will act, and you'll be like, okay, I don't want to subject myself to these. Let me just, come to devotees, chant Hare Krishna. And even in day-to-day life, like, okay, yeah, Rajagun is pulling me, Tamogun, let me do something more towards transcendence, like Sattvagun. That the day, like why Bhagavad Gita Krishna talks so much about the modes of material nature, because we actually see, when we are studying all this, we see that we are, supposed to see that how Rajagun is acting, how Tamogun is acting in our day-to-day life, and how as we progress in bhakti, we are rising above these modes. So, okay. Okay, so we'll continue. Text 9.
Text 9. Yasva dharmena mam nityam nirashi shravayānvitah bhajate shanakaistasya manorajan prasidati.
Is that me, Mataji?
I think Vrindavan Lasmati.
Hare Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, continued, my dear King Prithu, when one is situated in his occupational duty, engages in my loving service without motive for material gain, he gradually becomes very satisfied within. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So basically here, so we talked of 3 points practically, you can see. Now Krishna is talking of the fourth, here you see the practical point that Vishnu is making, and this is basically the theme of Bhagavad Gita. That we see in the second chapter, Krishna talks about how we are the spirit soul, not the body, and then understanding that, he actually starts off with the third chapter, that Karma Yoga. That means what? You work, but you work for Krishna. Right? So hence this verse is actually saying, having understood the knowledge which I have given you, swadharmena. Swadharmena means you do your occupational duties, and while you're doing it, what? Nirasir, without any motive, right? Without any motive to enjoy the results. Shraddhaya, with faith and devotion. Anvitaha bhajate, and he actually worships me. And for such a person, manaha prasidati, the mind is fully satisfied. Right? So, this is a very nice point here. So, it says swadharmena, one who performs his occupational duties and he regularly worships me without any false motives, endowed with faith and devotion, his mind becomes satisfied. In Bhagavad Gita 17th chapter, Krishna talks of austerities of the mind. What is the first point in that? What are different austerities of the mind? Anyone remembers that verse?
Satisfied.
Satisfaction. The first thing Krishna says, mind satisfaction. And here Krishna is saying, how can the mind be satisfied? You do your occupational duties, but at the same time you actually worship Krishna. Then our mind will be satisfied. And that's what he's actually telling Prithu Maharaj. And in this verse we can think about the third chapter, text number 30. Right? Mai sarvani karmani. What's the starting of 330? Mai sarvani karmani. Adhyatma. What is 330?
Sannyasya Dhyatma Chesa.
Say it again.
Sannyasya Dhyatma
Yes, thank you. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya dhyatma chetasa nirasya nirmama bhutva yuddhasya vigata jaraha. Right? So 4 points Krishna actually says in that verse. The first point is what? Mai sarvani karmani. You actually offer, do everything for Krishna. Second, he actually says sanyasya dhyatma chetasa. When you're doing, you always be conscious that I am a spirit soul. I have nothing to do with the material world. My only goal is to progress towards Krishna. Second point. Third point, nirasir. Nirasir means without desire for profit. Nirmamo, without desire for proprietorship. Right? So these are 4 things that Krishna says. And then finally he concludes by saying, Yuddhasya Vigata Jara. So without lethargy, having these 4 points, you actually do your duties. Right? So this is like kind of similar verse, right? This is similar what Vishnu is telling to Prithu Maharaj. So Prabhupada says in purport that this verse is also confirmed by Vishnu Puran, right? So this also comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 858. Prabhupada often quotes this. Varnashrama charavata purushena parapuman Vishnu aradhate pantha nanya tattosha karana. Basically this comes in a conversation between Ramananda Rai and Mahaprabhu, where Mahaprabhu is asking Ramananda Rai, what is the goal of life? Right? What is the final goal of life? And then first thing that Ramananda Rai says is he says this, Varnashrama charavata purushena parapuma. That Vishnu is worshipped by proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashrama. There is no other way. Nanya tattva, no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one must be situated in the institution of 4 Varnas and Ashrama. So that same point is what Vishnu is actually telling Prithu Maharaj. That, according to your Varna, according to your Ashrama, you do the duties, but do everything for the satisfaction, for my satisfaction. You offer the results to me, right? You do not desire fruitive results. You discharge as a means of rendering devotional service unto the Lord. And yes, and in Prabhupada actually here he says that devotional service is very simple, right? Anyone can adopt it. Let one remain what he is. He need only install the deity of the Supreme Lord in his house. That's so very nicely Prabhupada is saying that you don't need to, okay, what is your ashrama, what is your varna, don't change it. Whatever is the duties, you continue. But you actually install a deity of Krishna at home, right? And then after that, everything you do, you offer it to Krishna. Right? You offer it to Krishna. And that way, you are actually progressing in bhakti. You're progressing in bhakti. So one of the Prabhupada says, devotional service is simple. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yomyam bhaktya prayachati. Whatever you have, offer it to Krishna. Offer it to Krishna. Right? And regardless of one's occupational duty, one should adopt the devotional means of hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, offering everything to the Lord, and engaging in His service. In this way, one can very easily please the Lord. And one's life mission will be fulfilled. Text 10.
Parityakta gunasamyag darshano vishadashayah shanti me samavasthanam brahma kaivalyam ashnute.
When the heart is cleansed of all material contamination, the devotee's mind becomes broader and transparent, and he can see things equally. At that stage of life, there is peace, and one is situated equally with me as Sachidananda Vigraha. Hare Krishna.
So basically he says, Parityakta gunaha. So one thus, when he is dissociated with the modes of material nature, then Vishada Asya Shanti. His mind becomes satisfied, peaceful, uncontaminated. Samyak Darshana. Once our mind is satisfied, then we can see everyone with an equal vision. Samyak Darshana. Then me Samavasthana. One is situated equally with me, and he attains Kaivalyam. Kaivalyam Asmite. He achieves Kaivalyam. That Kaivalyam. So Prabhupada explains this point that normally the Mayavadis use Kaivalya. Kaivalya Mukti. What does Kaivalya means? They actually refer to Kaivalya as merging into the Brahman. But what is real Kaivalya? Real Kaivalya is to become one with the desire of the Lord. To become one with the mission of the Lord. That is real Kaivalya Mukti. So that's what Prabhupada actually explains in this purport. Right? That we understand we are eternal servitor of Krishna, and everything we do is for the pleasure of Vishnu. Then we are Kaivalya. So how do we attain that stage? Gradually we are disassociating with the modes. Then our mind, and we are doing our occupational duties in connection to Krishna. Our mind will become satisfied. When mind becomes satisfied, then we'll see everyone and everything with an equal vision. And then when we are at that state, then we will be situated in Vishnu. We attain that oneness in desire with Vishnu. So Prabhupada says that's Kaivalya, but for Vaishnavas, he understands his position as eternal servitor, and that Brahman realization, that seeing oneness, right? And Prabhupada translates that Brahman realization is easily attained by a devotee. So which is that verse? Brahma Bhuta Prasnatma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu. When will we get that sama sarveshu bhuteshu? By Brahma Bhuta Prasnatma. Coming to the stage of Brahman. How will we come? Bhakti. Just by bhakti we can raise ourselves to that state. Text 11.
Udasinam ivadhyaksham dravya gyana kriyatmanam kutastham imam atmanam yo vedapnoti shobhanam.
Hare Krishna. Anyone who knows that this material body, made up of the five gross elements, the sense organs, the working senses, and the mind, is simply supervised by the fixed soul, is eligible to be liberated from material bondage.
Okay, so basically here he says Ya Veda. So anyone. So up to this point he has explained the wisdom. He's saying one who knows this, then knows what? He says Dravya, Jnana, Kriya, Atmana. These four things. Dravya means the physical elements of the body. Jnana means knowledge acquiring senses. Right? Kriya is the working senses. Atmana means the mind. So the mind, the working senses, the knowledge acquiring senses, and the physical elements. Where did we read all this? All these, where do we read about Dravya, Jnana, Kriya, Atmana?
The creation part.
In the creation aspect, right? We talked about all these elements, and one who knows all these physical elements, all these senses and the mind, eva adhyaksham. is simply supervised by kutastam atmanam, by the fixed soul. That all these, one way, is just matter, but they are actually interacted. The spirit soul is actually supervising all these things. Right? Therefore, if one person can actually be the witness, can be the controller of these things, then apnoti shubham, he gets all good fortune. Right? And then Prabhupada in the purpose says, this verse describes how one can become liberated. First point, he says, one should know that the soul is different from the body. So there is Dehi and Deha. Deha is the body and Dehi is the possessor of the body. And then further he says, fixta, kutastam, right? That we know that soul is actually one way unchanging. He is fixed. Right? Knowing this, once we know this, then we should not be disturbed by the incoming and outgoing interaction of the modes of material nature. And hence Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita 2.14 that even when first Krishna says, okay, we are not spiritual, and immediately the second point he actually says, Matra Sparsha Sukonteya Sitoshna Sukha Dukkada Agama Paino Nitya Tanti Dikshasu Bharata. We actually understand that the happiness and distress of this material world are just like changing season, and one should not be bewildered by this change of the seasons, and one should be tidiksha, one should be tolerant, not disturbed by this. And how can we practically do this? Understand we are spirit soul and be tolerant from these ups and downs of this world. And then second point, he actually says, practical way is to engage in devotional service constantly 24 hours a day, Prabhupada says. Right? One who constantly engages in devotion 24 hours a day can become indifferent to the action and reaction of the external body, and fully absorbed in devotional service, he does not care what is going on with the external body. And this state is called samadhi. So basically, if we are engaging in devotional service 24 hours a day, Prabhupada says, then when you're fully absorbed in bhakti, then even but material body, all those things which are happening, he doesn't even care. Right? He doesn't even care what is going on. And when we come to that state, that is samadhi. Everyone okay? I know it's quite a technical section. Any comments or any points?
Prabhu, the spirit soul is the witness, and then it also says the supervisor. But when these things come to us, like should we just witness it and turn to Krishna, or do we try to control it, or do we just how much control do we have over the mind? And
See, this is actually, and we'll come to this in the next verse also. Further, Krishna talks about this. That basically, we are at text 11, right? We discussed 11? Yeah, we discussed 11. Right? So, basically, in 12, Krishna actually answers this point. He says, if you are supervising the modes of material nature, I mean, all these elements, the dravya, the working senses, the elements, the working senses, the knowledge acquiring, if you are supervising, how can you be detached? See, if someone is supervising, then how can you be just a witness? It seems that supervising something and being the witness are two different things.
yeah.
Right? Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So should we supervise or should we be the witness? Everyone seeing the difference?
Yeah.
Just in a company, someone is a manager. And he says, okay, his boss comes and says, oh, you manager, I just want you to witness what is happening. And just report to me. So that is one role, right? The manager is not getting involved. Now another role would be the boss may come to the CEO may come to the manager and say, oh manager, I want you to supervise this. Isn't that both completely different? And if you are supervising, how can you be just a witness? Right? And that's actually answered in text number 12. Right? So we'll just discuss 12 and then I'll come back to your answer. Right? So let's see 12.
Bhinasya lingasya guna pravaho dravya kriyakaraka chetanatmanaha drishtasu sampatsu vipatsu surayo na vikriyante mai badhasoridaha.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Vishnu told King Prithu, "My dear king, the constant change of this material world is due to the interaction of the three modes of material nature. The five elements, the senses, the demigods who control the senses, as well as the mind, which is agitated by the spirit soul. All these taken together comprise the body. Since the spirit soul is completely different from this combination of gross and subtle material elements, my devotee who is connected with me in intense friendship and affection, being completely in knowledge, is never agitated by material happiness and distress." Hare Krishna.
So, what is the answer to the question that we discussed? I'll come to this verse, but in the purport, Prabhupada gives this answer. So, what is the question? Are we witness or are we supervisor? What's the answer? So, Prabhupada makes a point in the purport and he gives this example. He says that yes, the activities are completely different from the. Okay, let's take the example. So, Prabhupada is just like a businessman. Right? He has a chauffeur, a person driving the car, and he is actually sitting in the car, and he one way is actually knows everything. He knows where the car is going, he knows how much gas is there in the car, he knows about the driver, right? He knows everything. At the same time, he is supervising, right? But not to the extent that he is involved with, how is the engine of the car running? So the point is that yes, and this verse is actually answering that similarly, that just like the businessman, he has no connection with the workings of the car, but he thinks of his business, he thinks of his office, even while riding, he's thinking of all those things. And how is that related? So hence this verse actually gives the answer. Particularly the last two words, Krishna actually says, Baddha Saurida. Baddha Saurida means he is bound in friendship with me. Mai Baddha Saurida. Right? So, okay, I'll come to this verse. So, Lingasya, this body which is actually consisting of Guna, the three modes of material nature, Pravaha, constantly changing. So, this body is what? The constant change due to the three modes of material nature of what? Dravya, physical elements, Kriya, activities of senses, Karka, the demigods who are controlling the senses, Chetana, the mind. These four, right? Surya, but those who are advanced in knowledge, na vikriyante, they never become disturbed by what? Sampatsu vipatsu, with the happiness and distress. They do not become disturbed by this happiness and distress. Bhinnasya, they do not identify with the subtle body. And Mai Baddha Savrida, they become, because they are bound in friendship unto me. Right? So, the question about witness and supervisor. Right? So, the point is, yes, we are the witness, but we are supervising the senses. How? By seeing their relationship with Krishna. Because we want to be engaged in devotional service, we are using our senses in service of the Lord. And when the workings of the car, like how is the engine running, how much air is there in the tire pressure, one way we just, we are witnessing and we are supervising to the extent that we need to fix that so that our absorption in Krishna is not deterred. Right? So only to the extent that our connection of the body, only to the extent that the body can be used in service of Krishna, we are actually involved with the body. Otherwise, we are just, some material thought comes and we just witness. Okay, it's coming. I don't have to do anything about it. Right? But for our mind, do we use our mind in Krishna service? Yes. So yes, we are engaging with all this, but only Mai Baddha Saurida, in friendship with Krishna. Otherwise, we are just the witness. You understand the difference between witness and supervisor? Right? Are we witness or are we supervisor? It depends on what aspect of it. We are witnessing the material aspect, but we are supervising those aspects in relationship to Krishna, in our service to Krishna. Like that businessman example that Prabhupada is giving. He's in the car, he knows the car is driving him to office, and what is he always thinking? He's always thinking of the business. Or today I have to go and do this business deal, I have to do this, I have to. Though he is one way aware of everything in the car, still he's always absorbed in the business. Okay? So similarly, while doing everything, we are actually always absorbed in Krishna.
I was just thinking victims to instead of witness supervisor become victim of the senses. Means like controlled by the senses.
Yeah. I mean, that's the situation in this material world. We are controlled by our senses. Right? We are controlled by our senses, but we are rising above. So one stage is just awareness, witness, but higher than that is supervisor. And that's what Krishna is actually saying here. But when do we supervise? Just in relationship to Krishna, in our seva to Krishna. Ratnarayaka, is that clear?
Yeah, it makes sense. And then I guess like when we're doing the supervising in relation to service to Krishna, if things are still not, it's still like beyond our control, then we just, okay, Krishna help me, like, because like if the mind is still disturbed or the body is still not, like, then we just leave it up to Krishna, right? Like,
so when the mind, let's say we're chanting the holy name, right? We're trying to do seva, but the mind is so disturbed. Then what should we do? We witness the things of the mind. That why is it thinking? And then we supervise it in connection to Krishna. And we say like, okay, let me try to remember something from Bhagavatam. So it's the same. So we are doing both. We are witnessing the disturbance of the mind. At the same time, we are supervising it by thinking about Krishna, by thinking about some pastime from Krishna, by chanting the holy name, meditating on the holy name. So
yeah, it's kind of like doing our part, and also like it's like the two fingers, Mother Yashoda, like kind of like we do our part in relationship to Krishna. Like,
yeah. Okay. So Prabhupada in the purport, like just to that point, Prabhupada actually in the purport, he said, a devotee's position is always transcendental. Right? So he talks about karmis, jnanis, yogis. How karmis, they engage in activities of body. Jnanis, they want to get out of this, they want to get liberated. But what is a devotee's position? He's always transcendental. What does that mean, transcendental? That yes, the activities of the body is happening, all the mind, all these thoughts, but he's transcendental. Why? Because of his relationship with Krishna. Right? So here, like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually explains that this material body, samsara, arises from the subtle body. If detached, he does not undergo samsara. Right? So supervisor. And then he actually gives us example from the 3rd canto, 25th chapter, text 33, that bhakti quickly destroys the subtle body as digestive fire consumes food. Right? And all that will happen when we are bound by friendship, that means pure bhakti. Pure bhakti. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's take a break because it's like quite technical section. So let's see if anyone has any comments. Is it okay? I know it's a little bit technical aspect.
But I really like the point that you said that my only goal is to progress towards Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Any other points, anyone from this section?
I like the point that as we progress in our bhakti, then we keep our inner strength despite the influence of the modes on us. We become strong to overcome the modes.
Yeah. That's a nice point. I was thinking about that point that And you see like advanced devotees, irrespective of everything that's happening in their life, they are just fixed. 4:30 a.m. Mangala Arati, they'll be there. So, okay. So let's take a 5 minutes break and then we'll come back and we'll continue this section. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Mangale Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyopi Harirnamaiva Kevalam Harer Naam Harer Naamaiva Kevalam Kalo Nasteva Nasteva Gatir Anyata Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. So please come back as we continue. We are in text number 13 now. Okay, everyone, Hare Krishna. So let's continue. Text number 13. So we have 3 more verses, and that would complete this part, this section of the Bhagavatam, where Lord is actually instructing Prithu, and after then it gets to a nice sweet section where we complete the technical aspect. Then we see the prayers of Prithu Maharaj, which are like beautiful prayers, which often we quote those prayers, very, very nice prayers that Prithu Maharaj says to Vishnu, right? So we'll come to that, but let's just complete these 3 verses. So text 13.
Tamasamano tamamadhyamadamaha suke cha duke cha jitendriyashayah mayopaklipta kila loka samyuto vidhat svavira kila loka rakshanam. Gopinath Acharya Prabhu or Pratana Mataji, do you want to read?
Sure, Mataji. Yeah. My dear heroic king, please keep yourself always equipoised and treat people equally, whether they are greater than you, in the intermediate state, or lower than you. Do not be disturbed by the temporary distress or happiness. Fully control your mind and senses. In this transcendental position, try to execute your duty as king in whatever condition of life you may be posted by my arrangement. For your only duty here is to give protection to the citizens of your kingdom.
Thank you. So basically here, he's giving a very practical instruction to Prithu Maharaj. He's saying, Samaha, being equipoised, Samana, be equal to everyone. And he talks of Uttama, Madhyama, Adhama. So here he's saying that even if, like, for people who are like greater than you, or they are lower than you, or they are intermediate stage, whatever is their condition, whatever is their elevation, you treat them equally, and you always remain equipoised. Sukhe dukhe, do not be disturbed by happiness and distress. Jita indriya asha, and have control your mind and senses. So your mind and senses are controlled. Do not be disturbed by happiness and distress, and see everyone with an equal vision. Right? And then further he actually says, Maya upa klipta, in whatever condition arranged by the Lord, may viditsa loka rakshanam, give protection to all the citizens. So basically he's saying that yes, things will happen. There'll be situations, there'll be happiness, distress, there'll be someone who will be greater than you, intermediate or lower. Whatever happens, you don't give up your duty. Your duty right now is to give protection to all citizens. So that's what, focus on that part. Right? Now here, Prabhupada actually says, this is an example of direct instruction from Lord. This is what I want you to do. And Prabhupada actually here, in this purpose says, we also see how Krishna gives a direct instruction to Arjun. And he says, similarly, Prithu is also receiving this. But we just have to stick to the principles stated in Bhagavad Gita. Basically, Prabhupada says, Vyavasaitmika buddhi ekehe Guru Nandana. So every man's duty is to receive order from Krishna and take this order as one's life and soul. Right? How in the purport to Vyavasaitmika buddhi, what does Prabhupada quote? Anyone knows which verse he quotes? He says this is the verse, when he actually read this verse, he was convinced that my goal is to fulfill the order of my spiritual master. Which is a stanza he quotes in 241. Yes, the Guru Ashtakam, the last shloka. Right? The last shloka he actually quotes, and he actually makes a point. He says that just reading that Vyavasatmika Buddhi Ekehe Kuru Nandana, that one pointed, I understood. What is that one pointed Krishna is saying? Right? And he understood. That one pointedness is my Guru Maharaj's instruction to me. Yasya prasada bhagavad prasada. Yasya prasada nagati kutopi. Right? Only by pleasing Guru, I can please Krishna. And when my spiritual master has said, go to the West, spread this Krishna consciousness to the West, Prabhupada said, yes, this is it. I was convinced. This shloka convinced me of my life's mission. Right? So here, hence, Prabhupada makes a point that every man's duty is to take orders from Krishna or bona fide representative of Krishna. That's it. And that should be our life and our soul. That this is what my Guru Maharaj wants. This is what I will do in my entire life, is just focus on this. And Prabhupada did that. You see, Prabhupada entire life, Grihastha ashram, right? He was doing his business and everything. His focus was just what? How will I serve the mission of my Guru? And initially Prabhupada was thinking, let me get a lot of money. If my business is successful, I have money, then I can help my Guru Maharaj. But he actually says, you hear Prabhupada saying, but Krishna had a different plan. He took away everything from me. But Prabhupada's goal was just one. How will I preach? Like imagine 70 years old also he's thinking, how will Guru Maharaj give me order? How will I fulfill? Right? So further Prabhupada quotes in the purport, he says, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti states that one should not care very much whether one is going to be liberated or not. He should simply execute the direct order received from Supreme Spiritual Master. So I find this very interesting that how Prabhupada is saying that, many times in our spiritual life also we keep wondering, I don't know whether I'll get, I will go back home, back to God, I'll get liberated or not. And sometimes we will also go and ask, what will happen to me? And here Prabhupada says, quoting Vishwanath Chakravarti, he said, don't worry about that. What you need to really worry is how can you fulfill the mission of your Guru Maharaj. That's it. Just focus on that. Don't worry about whether I'm going to get liberated or not. Simply execute the order received from Guru. If one sticks to the principle of avoiding, then he is already liberated. Such a beautiful point Prabhupada says. That, we don't have to worry that, will I get liberated or not? If you're right now following the order of your Guru, you're already liberated. Yeah. Yes, so further Prabhupada makes a point that as King Prithu Maharaj was ordered by Lord Vishnu to keep himself always aloof from the activities of the bodily situation and to engage always in the service of the Lord. So he quotes the previous word, Baddha Saurada, from the previous source, Baddha Saurada, right? That means what one should fully remain in intimate connection with the Supreme Lord directly or receive orders from the Guru and execute the orders sincerely when, yeah, so that's the main point. And then hence Prabhupada actually makes the point that one should not accept the Guru as an ordinary person. Acharya mam vijaniyam nave nav manyeta karichit. This he quotes from the Uddhav Gita, where he says, Acharya mam vijaniyam. One should know the Acharya as myself. Krishna is telling Uddhav that the Acharya is not different from me. Our spiritual master, one way we should see as good as God. Why? Because when he speaks us an instruction, it is coming directly from Krishna. Right? It is coming directly. So he is a bona fide or a transparent medium of Krishna's instruction. Therefore, we see the Acharya as Acharya Mam Vijanyam. One should know the Acharya as myself. Right? Na Nava Manyeta Karichit. One should not disrespect him in any way. Right? Na Martya Buddhya Suyeta Sarvadeva Mayo Guru. One should not envy him, thinking him to be an ordinary person, for he is the representative of Sarvadeva, of all the demigods. Okay. Text 14.
Shreya Prajapalanameva Ragyo Yatsam Paraye Sakritat Shashtam Amsham Hartan Yatarish Ritta Punya Prajanam Arakshita Karuharo Gham Ati. Patna Mataji?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. To give protection to the general mass of people who are citizens of the state is the prescribed occupational duty for a king. By acting in that way, the king is, in his next life, shares 1/6 of the result of the past activities of the citizens. But a king or executive head of a state who simply collects taxes from the citizens but does not give them proper protection as a human being, has a result of his own pious activities taken away by the citizens, and in exchange for this, for his not giving protection, he becomes liable to punishment for the impious activities of his subjects. Thank you.
So basically here he's saying, because in the previous verse, what did he say? Loka Rakshana. You actually protect your citizens. Now here he's talking about why is the duty of a king to protect the citizens. He says, Shreya Praja Palanam. So when a king takes responsibility for the citizens, right? Shreya, then it is very auspicious for the king. Why? Because here it says, Samparaye. So in the next part, what here? Sukrita Shashtam Amsham. The king receives, if the king is giving protection to the citizens, if the citizen does a pious activity, then the king receives 1/6 of that share. So imagine, like, if king is ruling a kingdom nicely, he's protecting, he's providing for everyone, and so many citizens, they are doing yagya, this yagya, that yagya, the king is getting 1/6 of the benefit. Otherwise, anyatha, if a king, arakshita, if he does not protect his citizens, then Ritta Punya, he becomes bereft of all the pious activities. Agam Ati, because he receives sin, he becomes liable to punishment for the impious activities of the subject. So, if a king is not doing his duties, then when the citizens do any impious activity, the king will get those results. I mean, you think about the current world situation, right? If a king, a president is actually not doing his job properly, imagine he's getting the sinful activities of all the citizens in his kingdom. Everything is coming to the king. And that's why any position of taking a leadership, it has these, yes, you can become a leader, you may have fame, people will worship you, but see the responsibility aspect. If you don't do your job properly, you will incur all those sinful activities that all the people who are under your shelter are doing. And that's what Prithu is actually saying. But if you do your job, you give protection, then you get all their pious activities. 1/6 of their pious results you will get. So Prabhupada starts off purport very interestingly. He says everyone is engaged in spiritual activities, then how will the material world work? Right? Sometimes in ISKCON also they come and challenge. Everyone becomes a brahmachari. How will this world work? Who will run the water department? Who will make sure electricity is there? Who will make cars? Who will do all this? So I remember his name is Rana Swami Maharaj. He was saying in one of the classes that he went to, I think it was IIM. So everyone is like, very like intellectual and very highly qualified. And then, so Maharaj gave a talk, and then at the end, one person, like very challenging student, he stood up and said, like, what if you're talking about this? What if everyone becomes a sadhu like you? What will happen? Who will do management? Who will take care of accounting? Because they are MBA, right? Who will take care of finances? In a challenging mood, he was saying. And Maharaj describes that when he actually stood up, because it seemed like he was kind of a leader of a group. So people, who were around him, they were like, "Oh, very good." They were almost like, clapping. "Oh, it's such a nice question, such a nice," like they were appraising. And Maharaj was like, "I am in this situation. Everyone is like, on his side, and he's such a challenging question." And then Maharaj actually said, just like there is a need for, an accountant in the society, there is a need for a scientist, there's a need for a plumber, a need for this, need for that. Similarly, there's a need for those people who actually give their life for spreading spiritual knowledge. And the way Maharaj explained, he said after he explained, everyone was clapping, for Maharaj's answer. He said like, "Oh, such an excellent answer." And he was saying that how in that people where everyone were academically so qualified, everyone appreciated that. And Prabhupada here in this, why I'm saying this? Because in this he actually makes he says, if everyone takes up spiritual activity, how will the world go on? Prabhupada challenges, right? And then he says, the answer to his question is the word Shreya, auspicious, right? And he actually says that, if everyone takes up spiritual activity, it does not mean that the world will stop. Krishna has designed the system based on 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. So there is need for a person who is a sannyasi. There is a need for brahmacharis. All these things are actually designed by Krishna. It's not that if we grow spiritually, then everything stops. No. Everything will happen in a Shreya. Everything will be auspicious for this world. Right? So that's how Prabhupada answers the first point. And then he says, Prabhupada says, it's a duty to see that people are doing their respective duties for spiritual salvation. So basically a king, he should not only protect the citizens, but he should make sure that they are working according to their dharma. If he's a Brahmana by nature, he should be doing the duties of Brahmana. If he's a Vaishya, then it's a duty of the government to provide things so that the Vaishya can do his business or take care of agriculture. All this is to be done by the king. And it's not that the king should be just callous to the welfare and citizens he should actually make sure that citizens become fully Krishna conscious. That's the duty of a king. If a king does not do the above duty, then no right to levy taxes. That's like, when you hear that, it's like, I was thinking about this point that, so much is happening with the government, and the government is investing in this and that. And it is, we are paying taxes, and government is using that money to, fight wars, etc., etc. And if we see that this is not according to righteousness, the true government should be that I don't want to pay taxes because I see that the king is not using it for the right purpose. And that's what Prabhupada is actually saying. If the king does not follow his duty, there's no right to levy taxes. Right? And then he actually further makes this point. It's the same principle for parents and spiritual master. Prabhupada says is like so strong here. He says, if parents simply give birth to children like cats and dogs, but cannot save their children from imminent death, they become responsible for the activities of their animalistic children. Wow. And then he says, Similarly, if a spiritual master cannot direct his disciples to become free from sinful activities, he becomes responsible for their sinful acts. Consider that role of a guru. The guru is actually extending himself and he's actually giving instructions to all of us. He's actually making sure that, okay, somehow or other I want to help my disciples progress in spiritual life. But if the disciples do not follow and the disciples continue to do sinful activities, the responsibility comes to the guru. And here Prabhupada is saying the guru cannot direct his disciples to become free, then he becomes responsible for their sinful acts. Wow, that's like very heavy, like the position of a guru, right? And the position of a parent. So, okay, the point okay? Everyone appreciate that point. Okay, text 15. Just 2 more verses.
Devam Dvija. Oh, yes.
Sorry, Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhu, if question I have is the spiritual master or parents are directing the children in the right direction, but what if they don't want to listen or follow? Still we get the sinful activities, the guru or parent? They are
That's
trying their best.
Yeah. I mean that trying the best is like, what is the best? You know.
Well, like,
So
let's imagine that the ideal situation, like our guru is directing us, but let's say they are, like when we are taking a vow, we are supposed to chant 16 rounds. But what if the devotee who took the vow and took the initiation, but not doing the 16 rounds of
yeah,
chanting?
yeah.
So
The guru
that's
takes.
sin. But
Yeah.
guru already said that is how is it? I don't understand that.
Well,
Like
Guru already said what?
right, that's why like you are giving initiation. Like we tested them like for at least 6 months or 1 year. They're practicing and then they fall down after some time. Like initially they are chanting, but after 6 years or 7 years, whatever be the situation or circumstance, not like health situation, but they are not chanting. Then still Guru is responsible for that.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Mhm.
That's why the role of Guru is like so like
Heavy.
to be you know, because the Guru is one way taking responsibility of the disciple.
Mm.
You know. So like I have heard this point also that one way, like yes, at the time of initiation we take vows and the guru takes responsibility for us. He says like, okay, you're taking the vow, I'll take responsibility that I will take you back to God. Like we were discussing yesterday this point that how the guru, he actually, there's a letter by Prabhupada, the famous letter where he actually says that if my disciples do not perfect in one lifetime, I will come back to take them.
Yeah.
So it is like, even I heard His Holiness Indra Swami Maharaj actually make this point that I'm taking responsibility for you, for the disciples. And if disciples are doing wrong, the spiritual master will, out of his compassion, see, when we say like the sin of the disciple goes to the guru. I mean, like Prabhupada, we hear this making the point that sometimes the guru gets bad dreams. Why? Because the disciples are not following the principles. So it comes to the guru, but because the guru is in a position where he is always in contact with Krishna and he's spiritually so elevated that sarvadharma pratya mamekam sharanam aham tam sarvapapavyu. So for a guru as such, there is he's not affected. He can digest so much sin and not have to go through all those reactions. It may come as maybe some token as bad dreams, just so that the guru says, okay, I should not accept unqualified disciples.
Mm.
But the guru does not have to go through all the karma, but some tokens are there because the guru is transcendently so elevated. But still, guru has taken responsibility, and that's why it goes back to the point that even at the time of initiation, the guru should actually test, is this person really serious? If after 3-4 years is going to stop chanting, then the guru at that time say, okay, I won't give initiation now. Let me really test that the person is committed. That he's taking vow 16 rounds, okay, he will do it whatever happens. Now, That is ideally, that's the thing. But sometimes, spiritual masters are so merciful. They say, the mercy, because the mercy is so, they are like, say, overflowing with the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Like, they actually say, okay. I mean, like, we hear of Prabhupada, like, a story of like a person just off the street coming and asking, like, what is happening? What is initiation? Oh, initiation? Okay, can I get initiated? Okay, you can sit, get initiated. Like, Prabhupada just gave initiation just like, very easily. Why? The kripa, the mood of mercy is there. Because they are so merciful. But if you see, I mean, that's the aspect of kripa, so that's a different way. But ideally, guru is testing. Is this person serious or not? If it's not serious, wait for a few years. Keep practicing until you are really. But again, because the kripa is there, they are actually many times very lenient. But yes, so to your question, yes, the guru does get. That's why the disciple has to be like, once given a vow, receive so much from the guru, we should be so careful not to commit anything. Strictly, like at least the 4 regulatory principles, we should be very strict about not committing. There are some things we may do which is not favorable to Krishna consciousness because of our past conditioning. But we do it and then we are like, oh Guru Maharaj, I'm really sorry I did this. Please give me the strength. Give me the mercy that I don't do this. Give me the spiritual shakti that I don't repeat this. Then we take shelter of Guru, then Krishna knows. He is a sadhaka. He's trying he's trying. Then it's not. But if it is knowingly committing sin, then the Guru takes the reaction.
Yeah.
So
Prabhuji,
that's
under
why
context, sorry, no, that's very beautiful explanation, Prabhuji. But what about parents in the same context? Like you guide them so nicely from the beginning, but whatever the influence is, like peer pressure, whatever probably the situation is, like if they are not following, then parents are also get the karma.
See, the whole thing is there is a proper system.
Vanas.
Even before getting a child, there's Garbhodam Samskar. Why? Because if you are really responsible, I mean, I shouldn't say this, but I'm just talking of ideal Vedic system.
Right.
Ideal Vedic system is okay. The husband, wife, man, woman, they get married. Now the husband and wife want to have a child. Then they actually perform Garbhodam Samskar. Because even from the start, they want to see which is the soul which will enter the womb. So if Garbhodam Samskar is performed, even at that moment, they are making sure that the soul that enters the womb is already a qualified soul. So responsibility starts at that. But now, because Vedic system is all up and down, and there's people. So if Garbhodam Samskar is not performed, then the children who come, then they may not have those good samskars. So while they are growing up, then they are easily here and there. But we cannot blame the system. The system is perfect. We did not, because of ignorance or because of Kali Yuga, we did not start off with the right Garbhodam Samskar.
Not even no awareness, Prabhuji.
Yeah, no awareness.
I personally came to know about this after coming to ISKCON.
Yeah. So
Garbhodam Samskar.
whose fault is it?
My fault?
No, the point is, I'm not saying your fault, but I'm saying it is not the system's fault.
Not the system, yeah.
That the karma comes, it's not the system's fault. That's how the Vedic system is now. If we are not following from starting, then things happen. So to your point, like okay, now I didn't know before, now I have come to know, then we try our best, right?
Right.
And then we know Krishna is Bhavagrai Janardana. Right, he sees our bhav. We are trying our best. We are somehow or other trying to get our children to Krishna consciousness. Somehow or other, like connecting them with association of pure devotees, saying that I cannot do much, but if they receive the blessing of so and so Vaishnava, then there is and then maybe like somehow or other trying our best. If you are seeing that, then Krishna is like, see, this whole thing about karma. This is a law of karma. Yes, Vedic law is. Yes, children do wrong, parents should get it. But we are not working on that platform of that karma. In the sense that we are connected to Krishna. So Krishna says, okay, the parents are trying the best, then, he won't. It depends, like how Krishna chooses to do it. But now Krishna is control of our karma, not the laws. But the law is that yes, this is what is. The child does a mistake, parents get the karma. But because we are on path of bhakti, Krishna is so merciful. If we are trying our best, then Krishna protects us. Krishna protects us. So that is our hope. But the system is not at fault. So that's why the Vedic way of living means starting from Garbhodam Samskara. You are responsible of which kind of soul. So even for the guru is responsible to make sure that this disciple is qualified before even accepting him as initiation. Right? So we know some gurus in ISKCON like it wait so many years.
Yeah.
Why? They want to make sure they're qualified. But again, that mood of kripa is there. So we shouldn't like blame someone who's like giving initiation because it's like extra, like it's just having the mood of Nityananda Prabhu, having the mood of Prabhupada, just like freely giving. But again, different gurus have different approaches to this. But at least some period is there where the disciple tests the guru. So that's always there. Right? That's a law. So is it okay, Mataji? So the law is law. But again, our shelter is Krishna. We try our best. I mean, Krishna is there. We are under his control. He can control all the laws. He can, whatever karma is there, he will actually see. Should we give it or not? It's all under Krishna. So that's why, like the point that Prabhupada actually said, that we don't need to worry too much about, whether I'm going to get liberated. What we should do? We should say, okay, what does my Guru Maharaj want? Make that as my
Life and all. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Just follow it. Right? Guru Maharaj says this, okay, I'm following this, okay, for my children. I go to Guru Maharaj and say, like, what should I do? And the Guru Maharaj will say, okay, this is their age, let them do this. Just follow. That's our whole thing. Then don't worry too much about, like, oh, now the child did this wrong, I'll get the karma. Devotees don't care so much. We don't even want to think about it. We just want to think about Krishna. We want to chant the holy name and be on that path.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, let's two more verses. Let's finish this. Did we do? Yeah, 15 and 16. We'll just do that because I want to, and that will complete Vishnu's instructions to Prithu.
Text 15. Evam dvijagriyanumaktanuvritta dharma pradhana yatamo vitasya rasvena kalena grihopatayatan drashtasi siddhan anurakta lokaha.
Translation. Lord Vishnu continued, my dear King Prithu, if you continue to protect the citizens according to the instructions of the learned Brahmana authorities, as they are received by the disciplic succession, by hearing from master to disciple, and if you follow the religious principles laid down by them, without attachment to ideas manufactured by mental concoction, then every one of your citizens will be happy and will love you. And very soon you will be able to see such already liberated personalities as the four Kumaras, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanandan, and Sanat Kumar.
So here Krishna is actually giving the blessing. He said, if you do this, see the result. Evam thus, he says, Avita Achay. If you continue to do what? What he mentioned in the previous verse. Right? Previous verse, he actually said, protect the citizens. Why you should protect the citizens? He talked about that. If you continue to do that, and how you should do it? Anayatmaha, unattached. Do your duty without attachment. Dharma pradhana, following dharma as your main interest. That I'm doing this, following dharma. Right? And then dvija agraya anumata, following the path given by the foremost of dvija, the brahmanas. Right? So you have to do your duty, continue protecting, and he says how you should do it. One is without attachment. Second, following dharma as your main principle. Right? Third, following in the footsteps, doing everything approved by the foremost of brahmanas. Third point. Fourth point, he actually says anuvritaha, and all this wisdom you receive when it is coming through disciplic succession. Right? If you do this, then what will happen? Anurakta lokaha. All the lokaha will anurakta. They will love you. Right? And then rishavena kalena. So two results are given. One, everyone will love you. Second one is rishave kalena. In a very short time, griha, in your house, what? Upayatan drishtasi siddhan. Perfected personality will personally come to see your house and you will see them. So what is the blessing? You follow this, what will happen? Advanced devotees will come to your house. And what is the real blessing that we want in our life? We just want the association of pure devotees of Krishna. And here, hence, Vishnu is telling that the greatest benediction is to have that association of Vaishnava. And if you follow this, then Vaishnavas will come to your house. And one way he's predicting, next chapter we'll read about how Sanat Kumar comes and he actually gives instructions to Prithu Maharaj. And all that will happen if Prithu follows the instructions of Vishnu. And Prabhupada in purport, he says, everyone advise Prithu that everyone should follow the principles of Varnashram. In whatever capacity, if you follow Varnashram, then salvation is guaranteed. Right? But now in Kali Yuga, we don't even know what is our Varna. Right? How many of us know what is our true Varna? Maybe we don't know. Hence Prabhupada says, in Kali Yuga, the Varnashram system is topsy-turvy. Therefore, it's very difficult to follow. Therefore, the only thing we should actually focus is how to become Krishna conscious. Right? So Varnashram, as Varnashram is executed from different positions by different men, so Krishna conscious principles can be followed by everyone in every part of the world. So whatever is our Varna ashram, yes, that is there, but most important is our Krishna consciousness. Now Prabhupada talks about this. Dvija Agra. Who Agriya? Who is the most prominent of Brahmanas? He says there are two categories. One is, on one side we have Parasar Muni, Swayambhuva Manu. They have given what? Manu Samhita. That gives the rules and regulations for mankind. Other side you have who? The Vaishnava Acharyas. Like Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. They have given rules and regulations to become pure devotee. So one side you have books like the Manu Samhita that we need to follow. Other side we have books like the spiritual literature like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, etc. And if you follow both of these, then perfection. Right? We'll attain perfection. And then next, so Prabhupada actually quotes how Mahaprabhu gave this instruction, and he repeated the verse of Brahmaji in 10:14:3. Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadiya vartam sthane sita sutikatam tanuman manobir ye prayaso jita jito abhitraisya loke. Now basically he says that Mahaprabhu quotes this. He said what we should do? Jnane prayasa. Give up mental speculation, and then being situated in our one position, you engage our body, our mind and words in service of Krishna. Right? So that's what we need to do. Right? So change is required not in our change of Varnashram duties, but change is required in the change of our consciousness. Right? And then further Prabhupada talks of modern age of democracy. There are so many government representatives. He's talking of, Prabhupada is predicting our current government system. He says like every day they bring out a new law, but because these laws are only mental concoctions manufactured by inexperienced conditioned souls, they cannot give relief to the human society. Okay, and then further Prabhupada says at present the so-called executive heads are more or less selected from materially ambitious persons who simply look after their own interests. Right? So in other words, the executive heads are fools and rascals in the strict sense, and people are Shudra. So Prabhupada is making the whole point that the whole executive head, the government, fools and rascals. The people, Shudra. And Shudra are selecting a person who is a rascal. And this combination, how can there be peace in the society? Right? There can be no peace of mind. They will never become successful unless we actually turn to Shastra. Okay, then text 16.
Varam chamatkan chanamanavindra vrinishvateham gunashila yantritaha naham makarvai sulabhastapobhir yogena vayat samavittavarti.
Hare Krishna. My dear King, I'm very captivated by your elevated qualities and excellent behavior, and thus I'm very favorably inclined toward you. You may therefore ask from me any benediction you like. One who does not possess elevated qualities and behavior cannot possibly achieve my favor simply by performance of sacrifices, severe austerities, or mystic yoga. But I always remain equipoised in the heart of one who is also equipoised in all circumstances.
So basically, he said, Manava Indra, O chief of human beings. Right? Te aham guna shila yantrita. Now it's very interesting that why does Vishnu use the word Manava Indra? You're talking to Indra or Prithu? Now he's talking to Prithu. You know, I mean, if you see the entire section, if you see the instruction before text number 13, where he talks about like, how we know body, we are spirit soul, we are not the doers, you should forgive. All that one we can say is like more to Indra than to Prithu. Right? All those instructions were like right to Indra. And then later on to rule, all those instructions are to Prithu. But now he's saying Manav Indra. And Indra that is hearing all this. O chief of human beings, Te aham guna shila yantrita. The Vishnu is making what? I am actually pleased by, I am captivated, I am controlled by your elevated qualities or excellent behavior. Not by what? 100 horse sacrifices. So Indra is there, he's listening to all this. That Vishnu is saying, I'm not pleased with your 100, I am pleased with your qualities, with your behavior. Na aham, I am not pleased with what? Makahi, that means sacrifices. It's clearly saying, Indra, you're thinking of hundreds. I'm not pleased with sacrifices. Tapobi, austerities. Yogena, mystic yoga. To these people, I remain neutral or equipoised. If they are equipoised to me, I remain equipoised to them. I just remain neutral. But I'm pleased by Prithu, by your elevated qualities. So one way he's telling Indra, Indra, why you focus on the Shatakritu? See the qualities of Prithu. Learn from these qualities. Become like Prithu. Right? And then he's saying here, Varam mat kanchana. Ask a benediction. Oh Prithu, I'm so pleased with you. You just stopped at 99. Your character is so exemplary. I'm pleased with you. Ask a benediction. Whatever you like, please ask. So Prabhupada says in the purport, elevated character and behavior, it comes from pure bhakti. Right? Pure bhakti. Unalloyed, unflinching devotional service. He develops all good qualities. As we progress in bhakti, we are developing the good qualities. Yasyasi bhagavati, bhagavata kinchana, sarvair gune tatra samasatin sura. Harava bhaktasya kuton mahadguna, manoratena dhayato bhayi. And basically, as we progress in bhakti, we get all the good qualities. And here Prabhupada mentions the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 22, text 78 to 80. Right? And we have the shloka which talks of 26 qualities of a Vaishnava. Okay. Okay, so let's stop here. We'll maybe touch upon this last verse again, and then we will continue. That how Prithu Maharaj now he actually receives these instructions, and then we have those beautiful verses which we frequently quote, which Prithu Maharaj prayers to Vishnu. It's a very, very sweet section. Next class we'll discuss that. Okay, so thank you all so much. Let's see, anyone has any final comments, any points?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. So in verse 14, Prabhuji, about the duties about the king, and also I was just thinking about the two pastimes, like one come in Ramayana about the Mathapati, the story of a dog, like how the dog comes and complains to the Lord Ram, and then the scene is there. Yes, Prabhuji. So that story I was thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, and about the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahatma is there, like all the chapters. So maybe around fourth or fifth chapter, the same thing happens. Like one person, he recites the Bhagavad Gita, the chapter, and then he free all his ancestors, the who were sinful, from the who were staying in the hell, and then he free them by reciting that particular chapter for the whole, all the people who were the sinful people. So then Yamraj, he has the question like, what will happen? Like if all people from the hell, they will be free, then what will happen to the world? But then Lord, he give the assurance, because there will be people all the time that they are committing sinful activities, and the hell won't be empty anytime. So like the people were asking, and this point is about the people were thinking like, if everybody becomes brahmachari or someone, so what will happen to the world? So this was about that related point. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Prabhuji, I really like the point Prabhupada is saying in the purport of text 13 that one's only duty is to execute the orders of Krishna and his bona fide representative, Guru.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you. I was thinking of Arundhati Mata's question that, we'll come to that in the 5th canto. There's a verse, right? Guru na sasyat, sajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, daivam na tad, swan na patischasyan, na mochayat ya samupeta mrityu. If one cannot deliver his dependents on the path of repeated birth and death, then one should not become a guru, one should not become a spiritual master, one should not become a father, a husband, mother. We should not take up the responsibility if we cannot deliver our dependence. So anyway, we discussed this in detail about this point, but just want to quote that verse from the 5th canto.
Prabhuji, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj gives a very practical point here. He says that we should just, now that we have become, no, we didn't have the knowledge before, we just show by our own example.
Yeah.
You practice what you want to preach your children, and they will see your example.
Yes, that's a very nice point. Teach by example.
About Mataji's question about gurus taking the karma. So Prabhupada was very merciful in giving initiation. But if one person was complaining that, oh, I have this, I have that, I can't chant 16 rounds, this and that. But Prabhupada was very heavy, right? Why did you take the promise then, if you can't do it?
Yeah. Okay.
You made the promise, so why don't you keep the promise now? Prabhupada was...
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, I like how you answered Arundhati Mataji's question that it doesn't mean the law is wrong. Like the law is there, and we should respect that, and then that way we are serious, take responsibility, and we don't take things cheaply, like when we try to lead somebody. And at the same time, also remembering that Krishna is so kind that if we're doing our best to serve him, and Krishna will take control of our karma, we don't need to worry too much about, am I getting karma for this or not? And, just try to serve as best we can.
Yeah. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes. I was also thinking, like, while we are chanting, if we make a sincere prayer, in case if our children are not following what we are doing, that also might help. That's what I heard from one of the senior devotees.
Yes, for sure. Sure. Power of prayers. Turn to Krishna and say, Krishna, you please help. I cannot do it. But again, that point is like coming to Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna. Yes, certainly. Very, very powerful. Okay, so we'll end here. Thank you all so much. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji.